roll tape.
Oh, is that Arthur Knight or something?
Mm-hmm. Arthur Knight.
Speed that roll.
Yeah.
Probably none of it's accurate. By
We'll see.
today's standards, it's
We'll
all
see.
outmoded.
Okay.
I'll expand on it,
Anytime.
like the plot of the film.
I was excited about meeting you. When's the last time you got excited about meeting somebody? Was there anybody that when you were coming up, that you got all wound up about?
I was thinking the other day about people I didn't meet that I'd like to have met, and one person was Nat King Cole.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at a party he was attending years ago when I was on Rawhide, and there was a big party up in Nevada, and he was in the room, and I was going to go over and say hello, and I didn't do it, and I thought, and I regret it. Of course, he passed away, but I always thought, why didn't I go over and just stick out my hand?
Was something like a John Wayne a big deal, or not really?
Yeah, I met John Wayne. Actually, he came to a tennis tournament that I put on in Pebble Beach, and his wife was a big
But you were a star by that point.
Yeah, I had been playing in films. No, I didn't meet him when I was unknown. At that, I didn't have that pleasure. I'd never met most of those guys. Gary Cooper I met, I think, when I was doing Rawhides and people like that.
I was reading in this Arthur Knight interview and others, and I never really understood it. They said, you were from the Mount Rushmore School of Acting. Well, to me, Mount Rushmore is George Washington and some of those, and you're in pretty good company.
Pretty good guys up there, yeah.
When did you learn less is more?
I think just going to acting schools over the years, and then just sort of observation. You watch people act, and then you kind of different drama coaches. Sometimes I used to know a drama coach who said, "Don't just do something, stand there." In other words, there was sort of just a parody on the old saying, and they would do. Is that it wasn't always necessary what you were doing gymnastically. It was what you're doing inside and what you're thinking inside.
And that's harder, really, isn't it?
And if you're projecting the right thoughts, then people will reach forward to you, and if you're not, then they're not going to be listening anyway. They're going to dial out.
Steve McQueen used to say about don't make anything too long that you have to say.
Well, that's true. That's an editing judgment. If you got material that's long, expository, is something the audience already knows, then you're going to bore them to death anyway. That's a selection process. But you, as the performer, has to deliver a lot of times a lot of stuff that you really don't think is very well constructed. And if that's the case, you have to deliver it. That's a great exercise too. Television teaches you that. And McQueen ought to have known. He was on the Wanted Dead or Alive, and he had to do it all.
If you had to choose between an Oscar or a #1 record as an artist, what would you pick?
I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't know what. I don't see how those are even comparable.
Status symbols. I mean, they're like recognition factors to be a mark of a success in music or a mark of a success in a word. In Oscar.
Well, I think a #1 box office movie would be more analogous to a #1 record.
Okay.
Wouldn't you think?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. And then, as opposed to a Grammy to an Oscar.
Yes, true.
But I don't know. I never think of either one of them. When I do a movie, I just do it for what the values I think, and I hope, naturally, you hope someone wants to see it. No, I think makes a movie for empty houses, and I'm sure everyone who cuts a record probably feels, wouldn't it be great if it got up there on the charts and people wanted to listen to it? But while you're doing it, you kind of have to think in terms of doing it and not what the result's going to be. The results is once you turn that record into, you mint that record and put it on the market, it belongs to someone else after that. It belongs to the public. And the same with a movie. Once the movie's turned over and it starts playing, it's no longer mine anymore. And that's.
Music is a great love for you. I mean, I was reading back, you were playing piano really for money and beer at the age of 17 at the Omar Club.
Very little money and a lot of beer, yeah. The Omar Club in Oakland, yeah. That was those were some great days, and we were just a bunch of kids.
But you still enjoy picking, I think, and like you wrote the theme for this film.
Yeah, I did it on piano. I wrote it with a guitar in mind, but I did it on piano. But I fool around a little bit, but I'm sort of a jack of all trades, master of none in that area. I don't. I haven't really built up any chops for playing in a long time.
But it's fun for you, right?
It is
relaxing.
Fun, yeah. Oh, I love it. I love music. I love all kinds of music. I love jazz very much. I love country music, pop music, swing.
Actually, were David Frizzell and Shelley West boss there for a while.
That's true. That's true.
Vivo Records.
Went on a wonderful a wonderful record God made, Oklahoma. That was a great record.
Record company boss Clint Eastwood. So they liked that. That was a big status thing for them in Nashville. What is your relationship with Clint Eastwood movies of the past? I know you must catch them when you dial around on television.
I don't linger with him when I dial around on television because I've already seen him or lived him. So it's a little different for me. I don't know what the relationship is. There is no relationship. That's the past, and I've done those movies, and it was a great time when we did it. Once in a great while, it's fun to sit down, look at one, and see how it holds up. How does this hold up? How would you do it if you were doing it today? Sometimes it surprises you.
My favorite, and I have them on Laserdisc, and I do watch them periodically, are the Dirty Harry series. It doesn't matter if it's Dirty Harry, Magnum Force, one of the 3 or 4 films. As you look back on those things, I mean, he's retired now, I guess, in your mind, right? He's done. We're not seeing Harry anymore.
He's out fly fishing somewhere.
He's gone away. Harry is gone to Hawaii.
Hanging out in the hills, yeah.
He was a good character, though, a very powerful character that meant a lot to a lot of people. Did you ever really figure out why everybody just bit into Harry so much?
I think he was a guy who just fought the system, fought the bureaucracies of today, and people like that because everybody's frustrated about the bureaucracy of today. Every time you go make an application and wait in a line for a government deal or a driver's license or the post office or whatever, we're always mired down in bureaucracy, and to have a guy who is speaking out for the average person, and also he was concerned about the rights of victims of violent crime, which is a topic that never is ageless.
I got a kick out of seeing that somebody in the Philippines wanted as a training film, Dirty Harry.
Yeah,
I thought that was an interesting concept.
Yeah, there was some rumor of that back in the 70s that they were using it as a training film. But
your westerns have always been very honest. Unforgiven is an honest western, in that I think those people pretty much probably existed. Everybody in that film, and it wasn't really a Hollywood-looking thing like Miss Kitty in Gunsmoke was. I mean, these people are real in this movie.
Well, we tried very hard to keep it that way. I tried very hard in the sets, in the art direction. It was inherent in the script as far as the characters, the characters, the various flaws the characters all have. And also I hired people who didn't care about wearing a lot of makeup and what have you, and they were not afraid to be a little off.
The anti-hero thing always comes up. I mean, you still want a guy that, unlike John Wayne, who will kill somebody rather coldly.
Well, if it's in the plot, in John Wayne's era, that was the era where the hero always had to be the fair guy, and then things were more black and white. I have always played the Western hero as much more gray, with various facets and various weaknesses and strengths, and maybe even certain meanness at times that is just out of his environment, out of the environment he's living in. And necessity, too. People didn't walk out in the street like they do on a television Western and stand there back and forth and then wait for the other guy to draw a pistol on him. It's just doesn't make sense.
Do you have really, I know it's really hard to analyze what you do, but I mean, I was asking other actors about, you're behind the camera and you're a certain personality. You jump out there, then you can shake really very quickly and get into something very emotional. You have any idea how you do that, or it just happens?
It's just a question of technique, the acting technique you've learned over the years, how to throw yourself into certain things, what thoughts to think to get yourself into a certain state. And then also you have to learn to get out of it fast if you're performing as a director as well.
Did you ever carry any of these people home, Harry, or some of the Lone Stranger things, when you were younger?
Yeah, I think when I was younger, but I try not to. You try to snap the switch and go out. And if you carry this stuff around with you, it's going to beat you to death.
Well, I know that these are not the most pleasurable experiences for you, and I hope you've survived the day. The press.
I have.
Some of us love you,
Well, the character of William Money if I had to carry that around with me and carry his demons along with me in my home life while I'm making the film, I'd be a pretty miserable person to get along with.
Well, we're all loving you down in Nashville and all over. Thanks.
Thank you.
Tell everybody hello for you.
Give my best to Nashville. Yeah,
I will. Thank you.
Yeah, great.
All right.
Very good. Check some tape.
Okay.